Dave Allison at West Texas Bugs. Today I'm going to tie a fly for you. This is a Kelly Gallup pattern called the Found Link. And you can see the similarities to Mike Mercer's Missing Link, except this fly has a tail, actually two tails, deer hair body. It has the spinner wings, as you can see, deer hair wing, but it doesn't have the hackle wrapped around the deer hair. So it's a great pattern. I've thrown it for caddis. I've thrown it for mayflies. I've been fishing it up here in Montana just about all summer, spring, and it's quickly becoming one of my confidence flies. So I'm going to tie one up for you and try to do it some justice. And so for a hook for this video, I'm going to use a number 12. This is a Moonlit Tagata Japanese hook, ML 102. And for thread, I'm going to use some 18-aught Nano Silk by Semperfli and Brick Beige. I know a lot of people don't really like tying deer hair with 18-aught, but if you get it nice and flat, it won't cut it. So you just have to have some faith. I'm going to start my thread about a third of the way back where I want my body to end. And so I'll go ahead and get my thread started. I'll bring it all the way back to the bend. Try to do nice even wraps. And then I'll cut the waist off. And these are Renomed scissors. A buddy of mine gave them to me at a show last year. And with most scissors with 18-aught, you can't cut it. You just have to open the tips and run it through. But with these scissors will actually cut it. They feel good, and I like them. I like them a lot. So if you get a chance to get a pair, pick a pair up. Okay, for a tail, I'm going to use some Coq de Leon. This is probably a medium Pardo. And I'm going to take a pretty healthy clump off of here. I subscribe to the, bigger tails are better for dry flies. I think that, mayflies have 3 tails, but 3 tails won't hold up the back of a hook. So what I'll do to put my tail in, I'm just going to grab it by the tip. And I'm going to put it at a 45-degree angle. So I'm not measuring or anything. And then with one wrap, I'm up on top. And now I can adjust it to where I want it. And so I want to leave it fairly long here. And then I'll come up and wrap all the butt ends up to where I started my thread. And then the next step is doing the body and sort of the second tail. And for this video, I'm just going to use some Comparadun deer hair. You can change the color of your hair. I've tied some of these with a bleached elk wing just to make it easier to see. I've got my hair stacked. So what I'm going to do is I want to measure this out. I want my tips to come just past the bend of the hook, and I want it to stop at my tie-in point. So you can see that's going to be a pretty short little clump of hair. But we'll see if we can get it done. So if you tie these smaller than a 12, then obviously it gets shorter, but it's not that hard to manage. Okay, so I'm going to cut it off. I'm going to place my butt ends right here at the tie-in. I'm going to flatten my thread, come over once, twice, tie it in, and then now it's really important that I come down really loose, because if I compress this hair, I leave no air, and that's really part of the flotation of this fly. So kind of like tying a stimulator. Okay, so when I get to the back here, I'm going to let go, and then I'm going to pull and just flare those tips out just a little bit. Then I'll come back up nice and loose, back up to the front. Okay, so there's my tail. All right, so now the next part is to put in some poly yarn. So I've got some EP trigger fibers laying handy here, which will work just fine, or you could use Parapost, any kind of poly yarn you want, and you can use Dunn's, or this is white, but for this video it'll be just fine. Okay, just like my parachute wings, I'm going to come underneath my thread, lift up my bobbin, and I want to place it right here on the ends of that deer hair. And then I'll go ahead and figure 8 wrap a couple times. Get this tied in, try not to grab any of those loose poly wing hairs. Okay, so this is obviously really long and bushy right now, but I'm going to leave it like that. It's a little easier to tie if they're longer, and I'll cut them short at the end of the video. So for dubbing, I'm going to use some Kapok, Semperfli Kapok dubbing. And for this video, I'm just going to use some Olive Dun. But you can change and use, whatever color you want to try to get close to whatever bug you're fishing. Go on and put a nice thin noodle on this. It's real important that I get really even coverage all the way through this wing, behind the wing, in front of the wing for the thorax. And I don't have to make the thorax as thick as I normally would, a third larger than the abdomen, because I'm going to put this big hair wing on the front, and that's going to give my abdomen, or my thorax, the size that I'm looking for. All right, so I'm going to slide my noodle forward. And my first wrap, I'm going to go ahead and wrap right behind this poly wing. And then I'll come up through it, figure 8, and back. And then take a look underneath, make sure I'm getting good coverage. And then I'm going to put a little more dubbing on and go down towards the eye. Okay, now I'll put my wing in. I'll use the same deer hair, and I want my wing to come just past, right to the beginning of that tail. Go ahead and clip this off. Pull these poly wings back. Set my wing in place, get a good hold on it, get that thread nice and flat. Okay, and I'll do 2 loose wraps. Cinch it down. Get it really secure. I'll move my thread to the front. Now I can whip finish. This is nano silk, so I like to do several whip finishes because it's awful slick. Okay, so now I want to get these wings nice and gathered up. And I'll tilt it so you can see what I'm going to do. So I'm not going to cut them off straight. I'm going to cut them at about a 30-degree angle. And there's one. There's two. So that is Kelly Gallup's Found Link. Great fly, imitates a lot of things. For some reason, the more I fish it, the more I like to fish it. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.